See, that was then became my love, even though football had been my love. But man, when I got my hands around a stick in an airplane, I realized there was something I really wanted to do, and that's why it was such a big decision for me to make after World War II was over, and either I was going to get out or stay in. It was the greatest decision, biggest decision I had ever made in my life, because I wanted to fly, and so I wanted to stay in the Air Force. But I wanted to see if I could play professional football. So I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get a college education. And so it was really a problem to diagnose. I finally made the decision, hey, you can hang on, there's the reserve forces, so you can still fly in the reserve forces. So that's what I did for that years before Korea, because they called me back during the service in Korea to fly missions in Korea. But it had really replaced football as my driving force, even though football was still up there. It's been a fantastic part of my life, because the military, when you go in at 18 years of age and you graduate as a pilot when you're 19, a big second lieutenant, and airplane flying airplanes, etc. That was just not heard of for an Indian to be doing this, in which I was just a poor country boy, and but I pretty kind of got enamored with myself because of that nice uniform, because you wore the uniform all the time. It was in the war, and so I wore the uniform all the time, but having those wings stick out like this and those bars out here, I just thought that, man, and I was a second lieutenant. The second lieutenant's the biggest deal there is in the world. Well, to me, it really was. So, but I guess what I'm really impressed with of being, because I spent so much time in the military, that to start with, open cockpits was really what I started off flying, was open cockpit airplanes, because that was the back in the early part of the war when we didn't have much else except what was in combat, and we were trying to build up our Air Force airplanes. So, but starting off in open cockpits, and then ended up flying bombers, and ending up flying jet airplanes, and then ended up in the Air Force, then going through the speed of sound and going above 50,000 feet. I lived through history of the Air Force. A little young Indian boy, just here at the beginning, go open cockpits, and I've gone through all this process. And ended up flying when I finished flying, I ended up flying had a wing of C-5s, and 141 was a C-5s, the biggest airplane there was in the world at that time. And it could carry 10 Greyhound buses, 5 of them parked alongside each other in the frame. And we could carry 250 fully armored paratroopers on the upper deck on the second floor. So that was how big that airplane was. And I guess I used to fly it in and out of Vietnam, and I've flown it to Europe, and I've flown it to a lot of the islands in the Pacific. And it just, even though wartime wasn't on at that time, but I got to see the world. I guess I was doing the right things. Because I didn't know that you got in a position to be a general. The point was that when I got assignments that ended up being a general assignment. which was commanding a wing of C-5s and 141s, which were combat airplanes then, even though I guess maybe the Korean War was, the last war we had, that they were used quite a bit, the 141 and the C-5 so I guess I was just fortunate enough to be assigned to a position and did a reasonably good enough job to be promoted to general. So I didn't do anything to, I think, deserve it or anything, except I did whatever I was supposed to, because I was very disciplined. That was my life, to be disciplined and do whatever I was supposed to do, period.